As we all know, our nation's debt is extremely bad right now. Does anybody know any of the causes? The recession, poor governmental leadership? Well, I'm here to inform you guys about a little-known cause. It's called prison overcrowding, from a result with mandatory minimum sentencing. And I'll get into explaining that a little bit later. Let's first take a look at our nation's debt. $58 trillion. All right? Let that settle in for a minute. 58 trillion. All right? This is not an exact number due to the constant rising of our debt. According to the Department of Justice, according to the Department of Justice report, the Bureau of Prison takes $8.6 billion of that debt each year. Now that you have some stats, I'll give you some more right here. Again, according to the Bureau of Prisons, the amount of inmates from 1980 was 25,000. Now it's 217,000 inmates. Does anyone know who this picture is? You can talk if you know it. No? All right. This is Len Bias. He was a former #1 overall pick for the NBA in 1986. 3 days after he was drafted, he died of an overdose of crack cocaine. This set off a national frenzy with the war on drugs. If some of you might have known, George H.W. Bush had the administration on the war on drugs. This was, you know, get tough on drug sentencing, stuff like that. This leads to my next point here. According to the United States Sentencing Commission, since 2000, the federal inmate population has increased by 6,100 new inmates each year. Most have been sentenced to mandatory minimum sentences. As you can see here, prison overcrowding is a huge deal. You have inmates sleeping on bunks in the cafeteria, not even in cells right here, just like this. This is a huge rec area where they had to use, where they had to use as bunks and stuff. Again, according to the United States Sentencing Commission, 27.2% of offenders that carried a mandatory minimum sentence, that's what this graph is here. So you're saying all these figures right here, so you got almost 53,000 right there, and you have 20,000 out of all the inmates carrying a mandatory minimum sentence. What is a mandatory minimum sentence? For example, you have 5 years for getting caught with 1 gram of LSD, 100 plants of marijuana, or 100 kilos, 5 grams of crack cocaine, 500 grams of powdered cocaine, heroin is 100 grams, methamphetamine is 10 grams, and PCP is also 10 grams. This puts a huge strain on the Bureau of Prisons because due to the judicial sentencing, they have to serve those 5-year sentences without parole. This puts a huge debt on us as taxpayers and also the federal government. Another example, 10-year sentence without eligibility of parole. You have LSD for 10 grams, marijuana with 1,000 plants or 1,000 kilos, Crack cocaine is 50 grams. Powdered cocaine is 5 kilos. Heroin is 1 kilo. Methamphetamine is 100 grams. PCP is also 100 grams. What's the effect on you now? According to the Bureau of Prison, each inmate costs $33,000 a year. That's each inmate. All right? You total that up with the previous number of $217,000, comes to $7.1 billion that the taxpayers are spending on inmates. Just let that sink in. $7.1 billion. And that is all. That is my presentation on prison overcrowding.